Penecke. What about the girl? Oh, yes. Well, as I was coming out, I met your son Higgins, who, in turn, met Miss Doolittle, who now lives with Henry.
Lives with Henry? Is it a love affair?
Goodness, no, she's a flower girl. He picked her up off Ghost. A flower girl?
One of the things about a musical like My Fair Lady is that you pretty much have a well-made, well-crafted piece of theater to begin with, and that it's not the kind of piece where you want to do a lot of messing with it. That's not really what we were looking for at this particular time of year, and I think in this particular socioeconomic climate, people need something that they're going to have fun with, that they're going to enjoy.
I have a right to be here in my life, same as you.
A woman who utters such depressing and disgusting noises has no right to be anywhere, no right to live. Remember that you are a human being with a soul and the divine gift of articulate speech, that your native language, the language of Shakespeare and Milton and the Bible. And don't sit there crooning like a bilious pigeon.
Henry Higgins is one of the protagonists of My Fair Lady, and he is a professor of phonetics and language.
He takes a working class woman who has a very strong dialect.
Because of a bet that he makes with Colonel Pickering about his ability to teach and essentially transform her into somebody more elegant and someone in higher society by changing the way that she speaks and behaves.
A cup of tea. A cup of tea.
A cup of tea.
No, look, can't you hear the difference? Put your tongue forward until it squeezes against the back of your lower teeth. Now say cup.
Cup.
Now say all.
Oh.
Now say cup, all.
Cup.
I go to live with him, actually, and so does Eliza. We all live together. It's like Three's Company, actually. So it's a great little trio. It's not a love affair between the three. It's a really interesting relationship.
It's almost a personality affair the entire time. It's just these three personalities that very much click. They click on an intellectual level.
Pickering, I cannot hear the girl!
I admired the character in a really kind of weird, twisted way. I've watched the movie many times since I was about 8, and I've loved it ever since the first time I watched it. Rex Harrison is God for the role of Henry Higgins. He's the man. It was hard not almost running home to Papa and doing everything that Rex Harrison has done or did right or did well, because that was in my head. But at the same time, it was, as an actor, you're supposed to not see the film. You're supposed to not pay too much attention. You're supposed to not mimic. And there are very good reasons for that, because I would have done bad Rex Harrison Higgins.
I didn't see it until about a week and a half ago, and I didn't finish watching it, so that's deliberate. I'll watch it after we finish. I'll watch it a little bit.
I did see it, but I used it more as a way to analyze the character, to see what I liked, what I didn't like. A lot of it of what Audrey Hepburn and I didn't like, but I don't know. I find a lot of fun at looking at what everyone does with a character and then seeing what I like, picking from that and borrowing from that, and then creating a whole new character from that. But I think actually a lot of influence came from Pygmalion, the video, and I liked that Eliza a lot. She's much more earthy, much more of a real person than a caricature. The first thing that I did when shaping her was her accent. I was so worried about not being able to do the dialect. I was imagining just butchering the dialect and just thinking, what kind of show would that be if I couldn't do these dialects correctly?
I want to be a lady in fashion, instead of selling flowers on the corner of Tottenham Court Road. But they wouldn't take me unless I could talk to you. At least said he could teach me. And here I am, ready to pay, not asking any favour. He treats me as if I would do it. I know what lessons cost, and I'm ready to pay.
We have this beautiful musical that is actually more than might meet the eye. It's certainly a romantic story, but there's a lot more to it. It's based on a play by George Bernard Shaw, and Shaw was known for his sociopolitical statements, his viewpoints, his philosophical ideas that he would lay into his plays, And he was never one to just write something fluffy and light.
This particular execution and the time that it is showing up here, and the time that we're living in just this country and the world, is actually very appropriate, very pointedly to this historical moment.
He was looking at the idea of how the way in which one speaks keeps us in certain socioeconomic boxes. That a flower girl who could not speak in a upper class manner would be forever bound to her economic level. She would not be able, she couldn't even get a job in a florist shop. She couldn't be a shop girl because she did not have the language ability, the manners, the culture to be able to interact with more upper class patrons.
The social life of then and the social life of now are very, very starkly different, and yet they're a lot the same. There is class struggle, and class strife, and class warfare that's not violent, but yet is very emotionally felt right now. And I think this is in a way an interpretation on how those of us, young though many of us are feeling about how things are actually going. So it's very deeply felt musical by all of us as well. Many of us are looking at a job market that's about as bad as Eliza lived in.
It connects today in many ways with our issues about people coming from other parts of the world, people coming with English as a second language, people that train their accents or their dialects out of their spoken language in order for them to be able to succeed in their jobs. So we've got that layer. We also have more and more and more of a class split going on in our society right now. We're seeing more of the haves and the have-nots, splitting and splitting and splitting. And in all of the economic divisions that are occurring in our country right now and around the world, the potential that when people are pushed further and further down, they're not going to necessarily have the ability to ever climb out of that and change their lives. And so when we start putting people in boxes, well, if you don't speak a certain way, if you don't know certain things, if you don't have the ability to access that learning, you will never be able to change your life.
But some of that pride and some of that, that anxiousness, and also some of that hope and that belief in the change that's possible through hard work. All of that is wrapped up in this show and wrapped up in the way we've interpreted it.
I'm looking for a production that honors the expectations that audience members have. They want to hear beautiful voices. They want to have wonderful entertainment value. At the same time, I want to make sure that the underlying social questions that are asked in this play are heard, because they resonate, I think, very powerfully today.
This is also literally a time, and I'm going to be on my soapbox for 30 seconds while I say this, and this is a time when theater is suffering everywhere. And you hear that a lot, but what's special about this place is that it does teach, it makes 5 years from now good actors. I mean, it really does. And there are people here who've gone on to do incredible stuff. For me, I like community theater. I like the local Sonoma and Napa and Marin vibe. And it's completely worth it. It's worth an entire day of sitting and watching television. It's worth 5, movies in the theater. And the money stays here, helping people who actually live here and are learning here. So, I mean, you throw all that together, and almost morally, if you're going to entertain yourself, you're going to be entertained by a story, come be entertained by a story live. You actually get to see it happen.
I hope that people come ready to leave their cares at the door and let go and open themselves up to this production, allowing it to be the production it is, not expecting the movie, letting it to be this experience in this time, in this place. And I think that they will have a really fun time.
Oh, now you're talking.